Dr. Myra Enslade wasn't afraid of death. In fact, she had come to embrace it in her own way. As a leading xenobiologist, she had spent the better part of her life studying the deadliest worlds in the galaxy, the so-called Deathworlds. These were planets where life had evolved in the most brutal ways imaginable, where every inch of land, every creature, every breath of air was a potential killer. Yet, humanity had learned to survive in places like this. Humanity had learned to thrive. Enslade was on a mission, one that could define her entire career. She was part of a scientific expedition to the planet Zalrith, a world so hostile that it was considered the deadliest in the known universe. Its atmosphere was toxic, filled with swirling clouds of acidic gases. The terrain was a jagged labyrinth of shifting volcanic rocks, toxic pools, and treacherous ravines. The wildlife? Well, that was something even worse. Zalrith's creatures were vicious. Massive, sentient beasts that hunted in packs, razor-sharp predators that had survived the harshest conditions imaginable. Yet, despite its lethal nature, humanity had learned to adapt. Life on Zalrith wasn't easy, but it was possible, especially for a team of hardened explorers like Dr. Enslade. Captain Thorvald, the leader of the team, was the kind of man who thrived in places like Zalrith. He had a reputation across the galaxy as a survivor of the most hostile worlds in existence. His scars were like metals, his eyes sharp and filled with a quiet, unyielding determination. Thorvald had seen things that would break most men, but he was still here, still alive. And under his command, Dr. Enslade knew the expedition was in safe hands. Her team was here for a reason, a very specific reason, to investigate an ancient alien structure deep within Zalrith's heart. They had detected it years ago through distant scans. The structure was buried beneath miles of dangerous terrain. The scans suggested something extraordinary. The alien architecture was not just old, it was ancient, possibly older than any civilization known to humanity. Its origins were shrouded in mystery, but Enslade had a gut feeling that this wasn't just any discovery. The scans hinted at something more, a potential link to the origins of the Deathworlders themselves, the terrifying beings who had once ruled the galaxy with their unmatched power. What if this structure held the key to understanding where the Deathworlders came from? What if it could explain how these creatures, these terrifying life forms, came to dominate some of the most dangerous corners of the universe? Enslade's mind raced as she reviewed the data, her eyes scanning the holographic projections in front of her. The structure was close now, just beyond the next ridge. As the team pushed forward, the air grew thicker, more oppressive, and the silence was broken only by the sound of their boots crunching against the brittle ground. The closer they got, the more uneasy she felt. There was something strange about this place, something she couldn't quite put her finger on. It wasn't just the atmosphere or the planet's unnatural stillness. It was a feeling, something instinctual. Her senses tingled with an odd sense of danger. Then they found it wasn't the structure itself, not yet, but something else, buried beneath the crumbling stone ruins. A small, unassuming object. At first, Dr. Enslade didn't think much of it. Just another artifact. Another relic of an ancient species that had long since vanished from the galaxy. But then, as she brushed the dirt away, the object revealed itself, a small, metallic tablet covered in symbols unlike anything she'd ever seen. Symbols that glowed faintly in the dim light. "What do you make of this?" Captain Thorvald asked, his voice gruff but curious. Enslade took the tablet, turning it over in her hands. She could feel the weight of it, the power that radiated from its surface. And then, as she examined the symbols more closely, her heart skipped a beat. The message was clear, even if she didn't fully understand it. To Earth, the gateway. The rise of the ultimate predators begins. A chill ran down her spine. The message was dated centuries in the future, far beyond anything she could comprehend. Earth? A gateway? The rise of predators? The implications of these words were too much to process. She had to know more. The team quickly made their way back to camp, but before they could even begin to discuss the discovery, disaster struck. A Zalrithian predator, a massive creature with tentacles and hundreds of jagged teeth, ambushed them. The team fought back with everything they had, but the creature was relentless, tearing through their defenses as if they were made of paper. And Slade barely escaped with her life, her mind racing. The message, the predator, it wasn't just a coincidence. Something was happening, something bigger than anyone could have anticipated. The team retreated, battered and bruised, back to their ship. But Slade's thoughts were already on Earth. The message was a warning. There was something on Earth, something connected to the Deathworlders, something that could change everything. And she had to find out what it was. ASA, the ship lifted off from Zalrith's surface, and Slade stared out at the stars, her mind swirling with questions. What was Earth's true role in all of this? And why had the message come from a time centuries beyond their own? She didn't know the answers yet, but one thing was certain: her journey was just beginning. The journey to Earth should have been a moment of triumph for Dr. Myra and Slade. She had uncovered a mystery unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen, and now she was returning to the one place where answers could be found: Earth. But as the ship descended through Earth's atmosphere, Dr. Slade's sense of accomplishment quickly turned to unease. The Earth she was returning to was nothing like the world she remembered from her studies. It was a place changed by time, politics, and power. The welcoming committee she had anticipated, an assembly of scientists and researchers eager to help her unlock the meaning of the Zalrith message, was nowhere to be found. Instead, a military transport greeted them, not a research vessel. Dr. Slade and her team were escorted off the ship under armed guard, their every move watched by men in suits and soldiers carrying advanced weapons. A message, cold and precise, flashed across her screen. You are to report to the coalition of Earth's unified forces. The world had changed, and not for the better. Earth was no longer governed by a democratic council or a federation of free nations. It was controlled by the coalition of Earth's unified forces, a powerful alliance of military and corporate entities. This coalition viewed any alien technology, especially the kind that could potentially wield mass destruction, as a resource to be weaponized. The sudden arrival of Dr. Slade with a piece of ancient technology, combined with her findings about the Zalrithian message, was enough to spark suspicion. Her discovery was now a bargaining chip in a much larger game, one that she hadn't anticipated. Dr. Slade was thrust into a world of political maneuvering and intrigue, where scientific curiosity was secondary to control, power, and national interests. Every step she took was carefully observed, every word scrutinized. First, she tried to present her findings to the scientific community, hoping that the truth would unite them in the pursuit of knowledge. But the response was not what she expected. The scientific panel she met with were divided. Some were curious, eager to learn more about the Deathworlders and their connection to Earth. But others were more interested in the weaponization potential of her discoveries. One powerful faction, led by General Octavius Rios, saw the message from Zalrith as a signal that Earth was destined to play a pivotal role in a galactic war. Dr. Slade soon realized the true implications of the message. Humanity wasn't just going to be a part of the war, it was going to be the key to the war's outcome. Earth had always been thought of as a weak, insignificant planet in the grand scheme of the galaxy. But now, the truth was beginning to emerge. Humanity's adaptability, their ingenuity, and their potential for destruction made them uniquely suited to handle the most dangerous galactic threats. The Deathworlders were not just predators, they were part of a delicate balance, a balance that could be tipped in humanity's favor. But this revelation was a double-edged sword. As Dr. Slade dug deeper into the implications of the message, she realized that if humanity became embroiled in this galactic war, it wouldn't be as the underdogs Earth might end up as the true aggressors. Could humanity, with its lethal potential, be the true predators in the galaxy? Could their rise to power have been manipulated from the start? The question gnawed at her. She wasn't just uncovering ancient alien secrets anymore. She was questioning the very nature of humanity itself. But as if to make matters worse, a rogue faction of humans emerged, complicating everything. A group called the Exiles, operating in the shadows, was revealed to be secretly collaborating with alien warlords. These warlords, some of the most feared beings in the galaxy, had their own agendas for Earth and its newfound place in the galactic hierarchy. The Exiles were working to awaken humanity's latent Deathworlder traits, pushing them towards conflict, pushing them to become the predators they were always meant to be. As Doctor and Slade uncovered the true scope of the conspiracy, a gut-wrenching betrayal shattered her trust. Captain Thorvald, her closest ally on the expedition, had been a part of the exiles all along. Thorvald, the battle-hardened veteran who had guided them through the most dangerous environments, had secretly been working with the rogue faction to ensure humanity's rise as the ultimate force in the galaxy. Doctor and Slade could hardly believe it. Thorvald had been the one person she thought she could trust, the one person who had always been loyal, always had her back. But now, she was forced to confront the uncomfortable truth. He wasn't just a survivor. He was part of the plan to make Earth a galactic powerhouse at any cost. Thorvald's motives were clear now. He believed that humanity was destined to rule the galaxy. The Deathworlders, once thought of as the ultimate predators, were nothing compared to what humanity could become. The exiles had been guiding this path for years, awakening the dormant potential in humans to manipulate their genetic makeup and make them the most dangerous species in the galaxy. Thorvald's betrayal was a personal blow, but it also brought a larger question to the forefront. What had he and the exiles done to humanity in the name of progress? What kind of future were they shaping? As if the betrayal wasn't enough, Dr. Slade found herself drawn into a different kind of conflict, one that was deeply personal. She had always believed in the power of knowledge and truth, but now she was questioning whether those ideals could survive in the face of such moral ambiguity. To make things even more complicated, she discovered a deeply hidden truth from one of Earth's indigenous tribes that had survived for millennia outside the influence of the Coalition. The tribe's ancient knowledge revealed that humanity's current rise to power was not the result of their own evolution, but rather the work of extraterrestrial forces who had been manipulating them for generations. These beings, who had long since faded into myth, had shaped humanity's destiny, making them the perfect tools for a galactic conflict. Dr. Slade was left reeling. Could she continue her work knowing that humanity's evolution had been engineered? Could she expose the truth, knowing that the very survival of the human race was at stake? And what was the true cost of humanity's potential rise to power? The stakes had never been higher, and the lines between friend and foe had never been blurrier. As Dr. Slade continued her investigation, the once clear path forward now felt uncertain and dangerous. Earth was on the brink of a revolution, one that would reshape the galaxy itself. And the question that haunted her most was this: what kind of future was she really helping to create? The answers were waiting, but they were buried deep, hidden beneath layers of deceit, betrayal, and the weight of an ancient legacy. And Dr. Slade was the only one who could uncover them if she could survive long enough to do so. The weight of the situation had become unbearable. Dr. Myra Slade had arrived on Earth with the belief that she was on the cusp of discovering something monumental, something that could reshape the understanding of the galaxy itself. She had believed humanity was poised to play a crucial role in the galaxy's future, that Earth was destined to stand tall among the stars. But what she had learned since arriving had slowly chipped away at her faith in that vision. The information she had uncovered was nothing short of devastating. The artifact from Zalrith, the very object that had sparked the journey in the first place, was not a weapon. It wasn't a key to some lost power, nor was it a treasure to be exploited for military gain. The Zalrithian artifact, it turned out, was a warning. A warning from an ancient race that had once observed humanity's rise and deemed it a catastrophic failure. The Deathworlders, those fierce, terrifying beings she had spent her life studying, had once viewed Earth's potential not as a threat, but as a failed experiment. They had engineered humanity for one purpose only: to create a weapon, a species of ultimate Deathworlders, adaptable and deadly beyond imagination, but with the potential to destabilize the entire galaxy. As Dr. Slade sat in the dim light of her laboratory, staring at the ancient texts and cryptic messages, the true horror of the situation became clear. The Deathworlders' designs had not been a mistake. They had planned humanity's rise, but they had done so with one goal in mind: to ensure that humans would be the most powerful, most dangerous species in the galaxy. But they had also known this power could be a double-edged sword. Left unchecked, humanity would become a force so destructive that it could tear the galaxy apart. It wasn't just the Deathworlders who had feared this. The ancient race behind the artifact, those who had left the warning for humanity, were not just concerned with humanity's unchecked growth. They had faced the same fate, or something similar. They had seen the rise of powerful species like humanity, and they had watched them burn themselves out, consumed by the very strength that had once made them invincible. The message was clear. Humanity was walking the same dangerous path. They could either evolve into something that would save the galaxy or something that would destroy it. The enormity of what she had uncovered left Dr. Enslade reeling. The very traits that had made humanity stand out as the ultimate Deathworlders, resilience, adaptability, the sheer will to survive, were not natural. They had been engineered millennia ago by a race so far removed from the galaxy's current powers that their existence was almost forgotten. These engineers had manipulated human evolution to create a species that was uniquely suited for galactic conquest, and now humanity was on the brink of fulfilling that destiny. This revelation shattered everything she had believed about her own species. Humanity had always prided itself on its resilience and its ability to overcome challenges. But the truth was darker. Humanity wasn't just a product of nature. They were the result of alien intervention. Their rise to dominance wasn't some miracle of survival. It was the deliberate design of forces beyond their comprehension. Now Enslade had a choice to make, one that would change the course of her life forever. Should she expose the truth about humanity's origins to the galaxy? Should she reveal that humanity wasn't the innocent race they believed themselves to be, but instead a weapon waiting to be unleashed? Or should she protect Earth's people, keeping the truth hidden to safeguard them from the wrath of galactic powers that would stop at nothing to control the perfect species? Her decision wasn't made in isolation. The galaxy was on the brink of war. The political intrigue and corporate maneuvering on Earth were only the beginning. The Exiles, the rogue faction that had once worked to awaken humanity's Deathworlder traits, were gaining strength, and other factions, some of them alien, were watching closely. The galactic powers, those ancient and powerful races that had once feared humanity's potential, were preparing for the moment when Earth's true capabilities would be revealed. But as Dr. Enslade grappled with the moral and intellectual implications of her discovery, a new and unexpected ally emerged, one that might change everything. A species she had once dismissed as primitive, the Exarathians, a race of enigmatic, peaceful beings who had long been known for their ability to manipulate time, had contacted her. They had been watching her every move, not out of hostility, but out of necessity. The Exarathians, who had witnessed countless civilizations rise and fall, had long foreseen humanity's dangerous path. They knew that the only way to prevent the galaxy's destruction was to guide humanity in a new direction. They had seen the potential for peace, for balance, but only if the truth about humanity's origins was kept hidden. The Exarathians urged Dr. Enslade to make a bold choice. She could expose humanity's origins to the galaxy, which would undoubtedly lead to a war that could destroy everything. Or she could trust the Exarathians to help humanity transcend its engineered nature and evolve into something new, something more than just a weapon. In the midst of this turmoil, Enslade found herself at a crossroad. The decision she faced was irreversible. If she chose to expose the truth, the galaxy would never look at humanity the same way again. But if she chose to keep the secret, Earth's rise to power would continue, but so would the risk of their eventual self-destruction. The weight of her responsibility was crushing. The tipping point came when Earth's military leaders, led by General Rios, began to prepare for an invasion of a neighboring star system, a system rich in resources that could be used to fuel humanity's war machine. The invasion was set to begin in mere days, and with it, humanity's full embrace of its role as a galactic power. The message from Zalrith, the warning, would be ignored, and humanity would be launched headfirst into an era of war. In a desperate act to prevent this, Dr. Enslade made the hardest decision of her life. She betrayed her own mission. Instead of stopping the invasion, she sabotaged Earth's military infrastructure, causing delays that would buy her the time she needed to convince the Exarathians to help humanity change its course. She knew it was a risky move, one that could leave Earth vulnerable to its enemies. But she also knew that without this intervention, humanity would inevitably spiral into a war that would tear the galaxy apart. With the Exarathians' help, Enslade began working on a plan to shift humanity's trajectory, to help them evolve beyond their engineered purpose and become something greater than the sum of their violent history. But as the days passed, Dr. Enslade knew that her decision had irrevocably changed everything. She was no longer just a scientist trying to unlock the secrets of the universe. She had become a key player in the fight for humanity's future. The choices she made now would decide whether humanity would continue its dangerous ascent or whether it would learn to live in harmony with the universe, for better or worse. The stakes had never been higher. And Dr. Enslade's journey had only just begun. The war had begun. It wasn't the war that Dr. Myra Enslade had anticipated, nor was it the battle between alien invaders and humanity that had seemed so inevitable. No, the real conflict was internal, a violent clash of ideologies within Earth itself. Humanity was about to face its first true test of what it meant to be Deathworlders, not in a battle against external enemies, but in a struggle between themselves. The revelation Dr. Enslade had uncovered shattered the very foundation of Earth's existence. The fact that humanity had been engineered to become a weapon had sent shockwaves through the political landscape. On one side, there was a faction of Earth's leaders who embraced their newfound strength. They saw themselves as the true inheritors of the galaxy's power, determined to conquer other worlds and secure their place as the dominant species in the universe. They believed that the galaxy's future was their birthright. On the other side, however, was a growing group of dissenters, those who rejected the predestined path laid out for them. These individuals, led by people like Dr. Enslade, saw humanity's rise as a catastrophic mistake. They sought peace, understanding, and reconciliation with the galaxy's other species, believing that humanity could overcome its violent past and forge a new future. This faction was determined to prevent humanity from becoming what it was always meant to be, a weapon of destruction. The divide between these factions escalated quickly into open conflict. Military forces loyal to each side clashed across Earth's cities, while fleets of warships lined up in space, ready to wage a battle that could span the galaxy. Dr. Enslade, caught in the middle of this war, was forced to watch as her mission turned from scientific discovery to something far darker. The fight for humanity's soul was no longer an abstract concept. It was a war for their very identity. The final battle came unexpectedly. Earth's two factions, both unwilling to yield, had drawn the lines in the sand. The battle was not just for Earth's future, it was for the future of all sentient life in the galaxy. Dr. Enslade knew that the stakes were higher than ever before. If humanity failed this test, there would be no turning back. The galaxy could very well descend into an endless war, one where humanity's own creators would be proven right. Humans were simply a tool meant to bring about chaos and destruction. She had to act, and fast. In a daring move, Dr. Enslade made her way to the heart of the conflict, the Earth Command Center. There, she confronted the leaders of both factions, forcing them to face the truth. They were being played, manipulated by forces beyond their understanding. The engineers who had created humanity had never intended for them to rule the galaxy. They'd intended for them to be pawns in a much larger game, one that spanned not just the galaxy, but the very fabric of existence itself. Enslade's words resonated with some, but not enough. The faction that sought power was too entrenched, too determined to let go of the dream of galactic domination. The debate raged on, but as Earth's skies darkened with the rumble of impending war, Dr. Enslade made the ultimate decision. She sabotaged the military systems, shutting down the weapons that would have triggered an intergalactic conflict. The immediate aftermath was chaos. The war stopped, but the damage had been done. The factions that had once been united in their belief that humanity was destined to rule the stars were now fragmented, scattered, and distrustful. The truth had been exposed, but it came with a price, a heavy price. Dr. Enslade stood at the ruins of the Earth Command Center, the weight of her actions bearing down on her. Her sacrifice had stopped the war, but she could not help but feel the loss of something greater. She'd prevented the destruction of the galaxy, but at the cost of her own peace. The realization that humanity was not the true masters of their fate left her with an emptiness that could never be filled. As she stared out across the ruins of a world on the brink, a cryptic message suddenly appeared on the communication systems. The message was short, but its impact was profound. It read, "We warned you. You are not alone." The message was unmistakable. It was from an unknown alien race. Dr. Enslade's mind raced, unable to process the implications. Who had sent this message? Who were the we in the warning? And, most terrifyingly, if humanity had been created as a weapon, who had created them? For what purpose? The question hung in the air like a dark cloud. Dr. Enslade had learned that humanity was not the apex predator of the galaxy. But had they ever truly been? Was humanity's rise to power the result of their own ambition, or were they simply part of a much grander scheme, one that had been set in motion long before they had even known of their potential? The message from the unknown alien race left her with more questions than answers. She stood in the quiet of the ruins, gazing up at the stars that had once seemed so full of promise. Were they a sign of hope, or a reminder of humanity's true purpose? Had they been created to dominate the universe, or had they been manipulated into this destiny by those with far more power than they could ever imagine? The uncertainty was overwhelming. Dr. Enslade had saved Earth, but what had she really saved it from? She had stopped a war, but was humanity's future truly in their hands, or were they just pawns in a much larger, more dangerous game? As she looked out over the planet, she realized that humanity's story was far from over. The galaxy had always been a mystery, full of hidden truths and unanswered questions. Now, as Earth stood at the crossroads of its future, Dr. Enslade couldn't help but wonder, would humanity ever truly be free of its creator's control? Or would they forever be trapped in the cycle of destruction they had been born into? The stars above seemed to mock her. They were beautiful, yes, but they were also a reminder of all that humanity had yet to discover. The journey was far from over, and the real question remained,